Welcome to the Money Over 50 podcast, brought to you by Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue from Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50. Today's topic, move the chains. Michael, what do you got?
Thanks, Dallas. So the American football season started again, and I'm a big fan of American football. And they have a saying which is called move the chains. So what I'm talking about here is that the way the game's set up over there, you have effectively 3 plays to gain 10 yards cumulatively. And on the sideline, there are 2 markers, which are like posts.
Yep.
And joining those posts together is a chain. And the chain is 10 yards in length. So you have someone standing holding one post, and 10 yards away, as measured by the chain because it's pulled tight, is another person holding another marker. And you really have 3 plays to get that 10 yards. Yeah. So basically, if
you get to that 10 yards, you reset. So you get another.
You reset.
Set of
so
downs.
You start again. Yeah, it's a good point. You reset. So if I have the ball on my own 15-yard line, so I'm 15 yards away from my own goal line. One of the markers on the sideline is positioned on the 15-yard line, so level with where I have the ball. And the second marker, as measured by the chain, is on the 25-yard line. So I basically have 3 plays to get over that 25-yard line. If I get over that 25-yard line, then my plays reset.
Yep, you get another set of downs.
And the chains actually move. So basically, if I get to the 26-yard line, for example, in 3 plays or less, the chain has moved. So the first marker that was originally on the 15-yard line comes up to the 26-yard line, and the second marker now moves to the 36-yard line, and the chain's pulled tight in between. And effectively, I now have 3 plays to get from the 26-yard line to at least the 36-yard line. So the saying again, move the chains, denotes every time, if you can hold onto the ball and gain at least 10 yards in 3 plays, you effectively move up the field.
Yep.
And the chain moves.
Yep. And so the concept here, and I think especially for people who don't watch American football regularly, is when you see the highlight reels, you see them throwing these 50-yard passes, and you see guys running from their own 30-yard line for a touchdown. That's not how the game's actually played. It is a game of inches. It is that concept is if you can just keep moving those chains up the field, you just keep marching your way up. And I think to me that sounds like that's the main thesis you play.
Yeah. So sometimes that's what we do. So there are big plays too. So I can do what I just did. So I can basically over those 3 plays, I might run the ball and get 3 yards, run the ball on the second play and get 3 yards, and run the ball again on the third play and get 4 yards.
Yeah.
So I've picked up my 10 yards, and I get another 3 plays.
Yep.
Then the chains move. So wherever I got to on that third run, the first marker comes up to, and the second marker is always 10 yards
from that,
effectively in front of that. Alternatively, I could hit a big passing play. So I could start from the 26-yard line and pass it to the 58-yard line, and the chain would move significantly at that point in time. So the first marker would come up to the 58-yard line now, and the second marker would always be 10 yards in front of that. So the way that I think of it is that most of the time that we're just putting our fortnightly contribution in, we're running the ball and picking up 3 yards at a time. we're running the ball, picking up 3 yards. We're running the ball, picking up 4 yards. Running the ball, picking up another 4 yards. Hey, we've hit our 10 yards in 3 plays, so we get another go. Yep. We get another 3 plays, and that's most of the that's most of the game. That's most of the game. That's most of life. Yep. With 10 or 15 years to go, accumulating for your retirement, our fortnightly contribution that we're making to
is that
our superannuation fund are those little plays.
Yeah.
There's other times when we might be in the position to invest an extra $300,000 at 30% down in the market, for example.
Yep.
If we've got accumulated cash,
yep.
Or we've been promoted to the general manager position at 1.5 times our salary.
Yep.
Or we've sold an asset
at
a certain time, and or we've inherited money.
Yep.
All these other things. So
there's big things that happen.
There's big things that happen.
But the vast majority of it is really just those incremental movements that you're making, keeping the ball moving, keeping a hold of the ball, keeping possession, and moving your way down the field.
That's right. So you're moving your way down the field. Regardless of a small or a big play, you want to actually keep the chains moving. And what I mean by that, metaphorically, is that you always want to be moving in the right direction. So sometimes we see people who get derailed for whatever reason. So they're actually making their contributions. They're making they're contributing to their superannuation, but then they become derailed, and they go and do something that they shouldn't necessarily do that doesn't fit in with their plan, like buy a very expensive car or a very expensive boat or upsize their house or something like that. So that they're actually not moving the chains in that situation. They're actually going backwards, or they throw an interception, because that'll derail moving the chains as well, in terms of the market's down because of volatility, and they're panicking at precisely the wrong time. So think of it in terms of you want to be consistent, and you just want to march up the field and get to the 10 yards on each of your 3 plays, and then bed down a new position and move the chains along the field and keep marching up.
It's a really good metaphor, because it's true of everything that we I think everything that we know, once we actually learn what's going on behind the scenes of something, every field, every sport, every endeavour is actually made up of these little increments. And we think of it, when we don't know what's going on, you think it's the big play that's going to make the difference. So, people think that to get set up for retirement, they think they need to pick out some specky mining share and load $100,000, pull $100,000 off the mortgage and load up into that, and it's going to 10x, and that's going to be their $1 million for retirement. We think we need some big flashy play in order to make that happen. And it's the same in every game. It's the same in rugby league. They talk about just complete your sets. If you just keep completing your sets, you'll win that arm wrestle, you'll win that grind. But those, just a good set of 6 in rugby league, or a good a good 12-yard play doesn't make the news. It doesn't make the highlight reel. But that's actually where you find success in sport and in these sorts of endeavours. It's that. And I think the second part of that, or the way that I think of it, is that we love to hit a big pass play, hit that big play, or get that promotion, or get that big result where that investment pays off, or whatever. But you only get the chance to hit that big play when you've got the ball in hand. And so this is sort of what you're talking about, is that if you've got possession of the ball, if you keep marching your way up the field, you're giving yourself the opportunity for those big things as they arrive. So if you're consistently spending less than you earn, and you're always in a position where, when opportunities arise, you can take that. You can, the one we see is people starting their own business. Someone who's borrowed too much money and can't afford to take a backward step in their income at any point, they don't have the opportunity to go and start their own business, even though it might be financially might be financially better off for them, and it might be more what they want to do. But they don't have the ball in hand, because they haven't been marching their way up the field. They've been trying to look for the Hail Mary pass. And so that's the other big thing, I think, for me, is like, you want to keep the ball in hand, not just because you don't want to throw an interception, you don't want to be going backwards, but you also, by having that ball in hand and by maintaining possession and marching up the field, you're creating the situation where those opportunities can come up. And the minute that you start to look for the big play rather than just resetting your count every 10 yards, you're not giving yourself any chance of those things playing out.
Yeah, it's a good point because, and it's one that I hadn't looked at, but we see a lot of people be able to take advantage of opportunities well before. I mean, they're positioning themselves to be able to take advantage of those opportunities long before they are presented.
Yep.
By virtue of the fact that they're not overextending themselves into debt positions, for example, and doing all the right things. Those small little incremental moves.
Yep.
That make a difference, such as and the best one that we know, the best example that we know of that for people is to every fortnight or every week or every month when you get your pay is to set aside an amount that you're putting ahead for the future, into your superannuation or into investments or a combination of the both, or to savings or to paying off loans.
Yep.
That's in effect those smaller little run plays that you're making and just marching your way up the field.
And I think the other key point to make here is that keeping the chains moving and moving the chains doesn't, and keep marching your way down the field. The analogy to your retirement savings, it's not to say that your retirement savings should never or can never drop. The point we're making here is the inputs, not the outcomes. So the way most people will need their retirement savings invested, there are going to be good years and bad years. And this is the sort of thing, you're putting your money into super every fortnight. The way to think of it is not that I've taken my super balance from 600,000 to 601,000. The way to think of it is I've done my bit. I've done the thing that I needed. I've completed my little play. I've accumulated another $1,000 worth of assets for my retirement. Now, my $600,000 in my super balance, this week, whether that's up or down 10%, is completely immaterial to the job that I needed to do for the week, which was just to complete that play. And so, if you've always got something that you can be focused on, that is your job to do, it's much easier to forget about that noise and to not think about what's the score, what's on the scoreboard, how long have we got to go in the game. I just need to complete this play, and I just need to do this thing that is in my control. And I think it's helpful financially, but emotionally, these sorts of things help when it comes to that volatility that people experience, where if you just feel like you're sitting there and you're at the whims of markets going up or going down, it's no wonder people sort of lose focus and lose sight of what they're trying to achieve. Whereas if you can go, my job every fortnight is to put my $1,000 into super, and if I've done that, then I've moved the chains, I've done my bit, I've completed that play. I'm now continuing to do the things that I need to do to march down the field. Now, it doesn't matter if the calls go against me. It doesn't matter if the other side, complete some, lucky Hail Mary pass. That's not the bit that I can control. I can only control the bit that's in front of me right now.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Money Over 50 financial advisors. We look forward to catching up again soon.